This show and tell presentation focuses on one of the members of the women's suffrage movement of the early 20th century, Cicely Lucas. The reason for this is that we are lucky enough to have 4 objects belonging to Cicely in the museum collections, which help us to tell her story. Cicely Annie Lucas was born Cicely Neal in January 1879 at Westwood Heath, which was at the time in the county of Warwickshire. Her parents were educators, running the local infant and junior schools. Cicely herself trained as a teacher, working in schools in Birmingham, Paris, and eventually went to Solihull School for Girls in 1915, first as a class teacher and then as headmistress until her retirement in 1939. Cicely became active in the women's suffrage movement, joining the Women's Social and Political Union in 1905. On the 1911 census, her father Edwin Neal identifies his daughter as a suffragette. This brooch belonged to Cicely, kept safe in a presentation box. The green enamel has discoloured in places, but you can still see the purple and the white of the suffragette colours quite clearly. This suffragette sash is silk in purple, white and green, with Votes for Women woven into the fabric. This type of sash was worn by many suffragettes and suffragists on marches and demonstrations. At a rally in Hyde Park in London in the summer of 1908, the women's suffrage movement adopted purple, white and green as their colours. Purple was for loyalty and dignity, white stood for purity, and green represented hope. This silk woven ribbon could be worn more discreetly than a sash and might well have been sewn onto the lapel of a jacket or coat. It is clear that Cicely treasured these objects as a reminder of her involvement in important historical events. The last of Cicely's mementos of her suffragette past is a pebble, not a usual object for a social history collection. Cicely kept this pebble safe in her jewellery box for many years. The pebble was thrown at her during a protest outside Winson Green Prison in Birmingham, narrowly missing her. As a teacher, Cicely could not risk arrest. She was part of the more militant suffragette groups, but avoided violent forms of protest herself. Cicely was involved in demonstrations in Hyde Park, London, and in Birmingham. She organised speeches, cleared the way for speakers such as Emmeline Pankhurst, and also spoke herself. But that was not her only contribution to demonstrations and public events. Cicely obstructed detractors using the shoulder interrupter, basically shouldering people out of the way, as well as elbowing them in the ribs or treading on toes. Cicely and her husband Ernest, who was also a teacher, retired in 1939 and lived in Claverdon until his death in 1951. After that, Cicely moved to London, initially living with her daughter and then in a hotel. She died at the age of 91 in 1970 after being hit by a car whilst crossing a busy road. Cicely's is not the only Warwickshire story of the women's suffrage movement. Others, such as Lettice Floyd and Mary Dormer Harris, can be found through documents and letters in the Warwickshire County Records Office.